Swan. The swan is a genus of waterfowl that has the ability to swim and fly with incredible speed and agility. This bird is also very intelligent, devoted to its mate, and highly aggressive about defending its young. They are a common sight in temperate and colder climates around the globe. The English word swan is also shared with the German and Dutch. It likely has its roots in the older Indo-European word swen, which means to sound or to sing. The black swan is often cited as a symbol of rare and unexpected events due to the fact that ancient writers theorized it did not exist. This was assumed to be true until after the discovery of black swans in Australia, which are actually quite common in the region. This bird is much faster on land than you might suspect, with speeds of 22 miles an hour. In the water, it can also achieve speeds of around 1.6 miles per hour by paddling its webbed feet. But if they stretch out their wings, then swans can let the wind carry them at much higher speeds while also saving energy. These birds feature prominently in human mythologies and arts around the world. Some of the most famous stories involve metamorphosis and transformation. A Greek legend claims that the god Zeus once disguised himself as a swan. The famous 19th-century Tchaikovsky ballet Swan Lake, which derived from Russian and German folktales, is the story of a princess transformed into a swan by a curse. And of course, the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale The Ugly Duckling is about a duck that transforms into a swan. Swan scientific name. The scientific name for the genus of swans is Cygnus. The word derives from the Greek and Latin words for swan. There are 6 living species of swans and many other known from the fossil record. These include the mute, the whooper, the trumpeter, the tundra, the black, and the black-necked swan. Another species called the Cascaroba swan of South America is not really a true swan at all, but rather its own separate genus. These birds belong to the waterfowl family, scientific name Anatidae, along with ducks and geese. Swan. The bird's appearance swimming gracefully through the water. These birds are an impressive spectacle whose characteristics include a large body, a long and curved neck, and big feet. Each species has different colored plumage. The common mute swan is almost completely covered in white feathers except for an orange bill and some black markings on the face. The trumpeter swan has white feathers and a black bill, whereas the tundra and whooper swan both have a mixture of black and yellow on the bill. The black-necked swan, as the name implies, has black feathers all along the neck, plus a black bill, a red knob around the bill, and white markings around the eyes. The black swan is entirely covered in black feathers with a bright red bill and pale tip. These birds rank as the largest waterfowl and among the largest birds in the world. The longest species is the trumpeter swan, which measures nearly 5.5 feet with a wingspan of some 10 feet. The heaviest species is the 30-pound mute swan, which sometimes weighs as much as 50 pounds. But even though it's formidable, this extra weight is a problematic characteristic that makes it more difficult to fly. They compensate for it with weaker honeycomb-like bones. Males, called cobs, are generally larger than females, called pens, but the characteristics of their plumage are remarkably similar. Swan. The bird's habitat. These birds are endemic to ponds, lakes, rivers, estuaries, and wetlands all over the world. Most species prefer temperate or Arctic climates and migrate during the colder seasons. The common mute swan is native to Europe. It was later introduced into North America, where it flourished, New Zealand, Japan, and South Africa. The tundra swan, as the name implies, inhabits the Arctic regions of North America and Asia but migrates as far south as Texas and northern Mexico in the winter. Other species include the whooper swan of Eurasia, the trumpeter swan of North America, the black-necked swan of South America, and the black swan of Australia. Swan Diet. This bird is an herbivorous animal that feeds exclusively on roots, leaves, stems, shoots, and other plant matter. When swimming in the water, it feeds via a method called dabbling, in which it flips upside down and reaches down with its long neck to the vegetation at the bottom of the floor. The bird can also come up onto land in search of food. Swan Predators and Threats. These birds' large size, fast speeds, flying ability, and rather aggressive behavior, at least when threatened, are a deterrent for most predators, but the old, ill, and young, especially the eggs, are sometimes preyed upon by foxes, raccoons, wolves, and other carnivorous mammals. Habitat loss, pollution, and overhunting have all posed a persistent threat, but they can adapt quite well to human habitations, and the cultivation of ponds and lakes for local wildlife has kept population numbers high. In the future, swan habitat and migratory patterns will be affected by climate change. Swan population. Thanks to years of protection, the swan genus as a whole are in excellent health. According to the IUCN Red List, which tracks the population status of many animals around the world, every single species of the swan is listed as least concern, which is the best possible conservation prognosis. Population numbers, though not known with precise accuracy, appear to be stable or increasing around the world. The trumpeter swan endemic to North America once fell to as little as 100 birds in 1935, but it has since been rehabilitated.